do you guys have anything you want to ask me about to start off?
Um, I don't have anything specific. Well, I sent you a couple questions, but I think just like I really appreciate your recipes for fish
Oh,
because I'm
sure.
really bad at preparing fish. So anything you can throw our way, and that would be fabulous.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I don't have a lot of questions, I'll go take us to my Pinterest page and we'll kind of scroll through that because I'll show you some of my favorite recipes out there. Um, how about you, Pam? Do you have any questions?
I just have some probably off the wall kind of questions, maybe not necessarily related to the classwork or anything.
Okay.
Like I see like the peanut butter powder out there.
Oops, I kind of lost I can't hear you very well.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me better?
A little bit. So you were mentioning peanut butter powder.
Yeah, what do they use that for?
Well, basically to just not get the fat that you would get in peanut butter. But I'm a little concerned about the processing there because they defat the peanut butter. And the way I understand it, it then is kind of like the powdered creamers that they make. It has like trans fats in it. So you have to be really careful about that. I'd almost like when we're trying to eat more plant-based, I like to think of whole foods plant-based. So um, using the whole all the peanut butter instead, so you're getting all the nutrients that come with the nuts being ground. And then there are definitely better choices of peanut butter. So if you look for ones that are not don't have a lot of added sugar, maybe they just have a little bit of oil added. And actually the ones that they call drippy or the ones that separate are probably even better. So if you look for I think Smucker's natural peanut butter, it would have the oil will separate and then you have to stir it back together. So those are probably even more realistic because they don't have those extra preservatives in them to make the peanut butter hang in there or hang together, I guess. So
Sure. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're really just ultimately wanting a low fat diet, those peanut butter powders, that's their purpose really. But
Okay. I didn't know if it might help, with I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I like I
yeah,
said, I put it
yeah.
on the shelf
Oh,
and
oh, you popped in. I could hear you again. Um,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's more like for someone that's really counting their calories and really counting watching their fat, that then they could do what these defatted, nut butters or peanut butter. But again, I don't really recommend them. I'd rather you eat the whole food because then you get all the synergy in the food. So certain foods have synergistic effects within them. Some foods are synergistic with other foods as well. So I'm a big believer in whole foods, less artificial ingredients, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners. So staying away from those when possible. So
Sure. Okay. All right.
yeah, any other questions, Pam?
Um, I also I was at a wedding once and I was sitting next to a home ec person and she was talking about cooking and things of that nature, and she was talking about like I'd like to just be able to take some of my regular recipes and just make them healthier.
Healthier.
And
Okay.
she talked about there are kind of like formulas as far as you can cut maybe like on sugar or natural sweeteners, you can maybe cut back a third on most recipes
Yeah.
or a certain percentage of fat. I was wondering if you had any tips like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always say cooking is an art. So you can pretty much throw anything you want into cooking on the stove. But when it comes to baking, you have to be a little bit more careful. But having said that, if you're baking something, I have cut the sugar by a third to a half, you know,
Okay.
and so just over time kind of figured out what amount will work. Um, you can always also you probably heard of like interchanging some of the fat like with or sugar with applesauce or things like that. As far as the oil, the fat goes, I stay completely away from shortening trans fats. I don't do a lot of butter myself, but there are like things that you can substitute. Or I even, a lot of times, if you're melting the butter anyway, I might just go ahead and use a light olive oil for most of the butter and then put in a little bit of butter flavor. And
Okay.
if we're having something, bread or something, and we want some of that buttery flavor, I use the whole butter. I don't use margarine, and I go ahead and take a tablespoon of that, and I'll mix it with a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and I'll melt the butter first, and then I'll add the olive oil, stir that together, and if you put it back in the fridge, it will get a little bit solid, but you can drizzle that on, your toast or your bread, that kind of thing. And you're cutting your saturated fat down just tremendously by doing that. And I'm a big believer in cutting saturated fat because it does contribute to high, lousy cholesterol, that high LDL. So getting other healthier fats in the diet can certainly help. And there are cookie recipes out there to just totally use olive oil. Olive oil, if you're using a really good, rich antioxidant one, it's going to have like a strong flavor, like even a grassy flavor to it. So you might want to use like a light olive oil if you are going to bake with it, or, that type of thing, especially if it's something that has a delicate flavor. But if you don't mind that, that heavier, robust flavor, then you could just use regular olive oil in there as well. So,
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah. Any other questions there?
No, not right now, not for me.
Okay. Carol, I saw you joined us here. Did you have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. You just mentioned olive oil. There's a lot of different kinds of olive oil. You mentioned a lighter one. When you say that, do you mean extra virgin olive oil?
No, so you will see in the store, there's light versions. So the color will actually be a little more golden, and it should say light on it. It doesn't mean it's light in fat. It just means that it's a later press of the oil. So it's a little bit diminished in flavor over like the first press, like the extra virgin press. That's going to have that more robust flavor. And I personally like to get a higher antioxidant one. And so I buy 2 olive oils. I buy one that's a little more expensive and more antioxidant rich. And then I'll use that more for cooking. Then I buy a lighter one, and that would be more for my baking applications. So.
There's certain brands you like, because I see about 100 different brands. out
Oh, I know. So I went on to Consumer Labs, and I get their subscription, and they recommended, it's California Ranch is the brand, and you can buy that around here. And when they're like looking at a brand, they're looking to see that it has the ingredients in it that they say that it says it does. They're looking at the cost. But there's different California Ranch brands, and you can get those, like I said, at any of the grocery stores here. I've even seen it at Walmart, and they'll have a one that's all California olives, and that's just more. It's a good healthy one, and it's related. Of course, the olives all taste similar in that area, but then they have one that's a global blend. And I really like that one. It's got a blend of different olives from different regions of the world. And that's another good one that they have as well. And I think they have some other ones, but those are the 2 that I've kind of honed in on based on Consumer Labs recommendation of those. I also occasionally will buy a expensive bottle on Amazon or something. I can't remember the name of that right off, but I can put that into the group if you'd like me to. But it's about $30 a bottle. And there's much more expensive ones than that too, but it's a high antioxidant one. And that's the kind that you really want if you're trying to improve your numbers for your heart ratio, you know, just trying to lower the LDL and raise the HDL, that type of thing. And again, those are going to have like a real earthy, a more grassy flavor to them, so they're real strong as well.
Yes, I'd be interested in hearing what the
Yeah.
one is to buy online.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just make a note to put that out there. And I'll look online on Consumer Labs and see if they have any others that they highly recommend. But that California, that one is the California Olive Ranch. That's the one that they have recommended. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And I have another question about olive oil. I have a dressing that I use quite often, and the dressing recipe calls for like a vegetable oil, and in an effort to make it perhaps a little more healthy, I will mix half olive oil and half whatever canola oil or whatever
Sure.
I have in my cupboard, because if I use all olive oil, it really thickens up in the fridge and it's hard to put on a, I would have to let it sit out and think ahead. You know, if it's all olive oil, it tends to get pretty glumpy in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Is there any other way? I mean, is that maybe the best solution for that, or do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one that I prefer to use olive oil just because there's so many studies on it that show how healthy it is. But
Right.
But having said that, I mean, there are some other, depending on what kind of flavor you want, avocado oil can be really good. I don't know how that would, you know, in the refrigerator, if that would set up more too. You'd have to probably play with it. And I also buy walnut oil because it's high in omega-3s, but that's going to have a distinctive flavor as well. But those are some that I like to use at home. So you can try those, and those are very frequently used in different dressings as well. But it could be that your fridge is a little too cold. I run mine on the cold side on purpose, and so that happens to me too. Like if I put anything in there with olive oil. But you know, usually they say between like 33 to 36 or 39 degrees, but I would never want it at 39 degrees myself, but somewhere in there for refrigeration.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions?
That's all I had.
All right, let's see if I can share my screen here, and let's see if I can find my Pinterest page. Got a lot of stuff up here right now. Hang on just one second, and let me see if I can get to where I want to get here. Thought I just put it up there. You guys didn't see my Pinterest page, did you? Oh, here it is. Okay, it was just loading. Okay, I think you can see it now. Yeah, it was just taking a minute to load. Okay, so this is the link that I put out in the group, and I think I also put it in the email. Hopefully you guys have been able to get out here, but if not, I just kind of wanted to review it a little bit. So I just started on the plant-based journey like last November or October actually. And I started because my cholesterol started going up, and I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. I need to get this under control because I didn't want to go on medication. And thankfully I brought it back down amazingly actually with a plant-based diet. So I just think it's kind of, I had a blood pressure class that I did a few months ago, and we did more of a DASH-based diet. And I think going plant-based can be even a step further for improving your health. So some of the principles I like are, you know, avoiding the red meat and the pork, and doing more of maybe the fish or the chicken if you decide to do that type of vegetarian diet. But if you can see out, as you can see out here, I've put all sorts of different categories. So you can see all the pins right here, and didn't set up a pin Pinterest page until now, a couple weeks ago. So you guys might be more familiar with Pinterest than I am. And I'm just starting a healthy sauce recipes too. So I'm going to get that one some more added to that. It's really hard to find, especially Asian sauces and maybe even some of the dressings that you like in a healthy, that are healthier. A lot of them have a lot of preservatives or additives in them. So I'm trying to find some healthier versions to put out here, because we know sauce goes a long way when you're on a, more of a vegetarian diet to help add some flavors. I have a soy and tofu page here. And I just put some videos together yesterday, and I don't have them posted yet, hopefully later today or tomorrow morning. But I made in one of the videos this tofu parmigiana. And tofu or soy products are a complete source of protein. We will study them, I believe, in the 4th video. We'll talk about protein sources. But if you haven't tried tofu, I recommend this as a really first start for trying it, because it's a very flavorful dish. It's got that Italian flair, and cheese, you got some cheese on top there, and so that can help with that kind of that first taste or transition to tofu. But you'll be able to watch that video that kind of reviews some of the different types of soy products and tofu, and edamame and tempeh, the different types out there, and what you would use the different products for. So that's one of my favorite dishes. I've been making that one for years, actually. And some of these other ones I haven't tried yet. I want to try the silken mousse up here, the chocolate blueberry one. And when I went to this store yesterday, they were out of the silken or the soft tofu. The tofu comes in different levels, so I wasn't able to buy that. But next time I see some, I'll buy some and make a video on that. Just go back here. So that's some of the ones in the tofu section, and then flexitarian. In there, that would be where I added some meat, like beef and pork type recipes, because that would be that, or Mediterranean. If you went Mediterranean, those would be probably the only occasions where you would actually have more red meat or pork compared to the other types of diets. But this is one of my very favorite recipes here, the unstuffed cabbage roll. And as you can see, you can't see the whole recipe here. You'd have to go to the site. But you can see here, it calls for 2 pounds of ground beef. I will frequently make this with turkey or ground turkey. And I only use 1 pound of ground meat when I make this. And the really nice thing in here is I buy the cabbage already shredded. I'm short on time a lot too, so I will buy it already prepackaged, shredded, and just dump in a half a package into my my dish to cook it. But it's really got I think a lot of people that like pasta would like this, but it's got that little crunchiness to it from the cabbage. So again, one of my favorites. And let me just move back here.
So Sandy, on that one, I kind of lost you for a minute, but on that cabbage,
Yes.
you put something different in for the ground beef? Do you do like a plant ground beef type thing, or do you
So
do that?
usually I will make that one with turkey if I'm making it. So
Okay.
it'd be more of, that proletarian type diet. And
Yep.
I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm probably more of a flexitarian myself, but I don't do a lot of red meat. But you have, again, I'm teaching this class too because I'm learning as I go. And I gave blood last fall, went vegetarian, and my iron went down. So I now, because I don't eat a lot of red meat and I don't eat a lot of shellfish, and shellfish can be a good source of iron, that I take an iron supplement like every other day, and that helps me to keep my iron up. So there are pitfalls here, and that wouldn't necessarily happen to everyone, but it just depends on your lifestyle and what you're doing. And if you're trying to give blood, definitely that can be take your iron too low for a period of time. So yeah, so flexitarian, again, I did include just some of the pork or the hamburger recipes in there if that's something that works for you. And if, in particular, if I wanted to keep my iron up more, I would probably definitely add more red meat, but I don't want the saturated fat from the red meat. So I steer away from that. Mediterranean, I'm not really going to show you that one, but I basically put in there any recipes that had Mediterranean in the title or were more traditionally Mediterranean, like a caprese salad. I have one of those in there. And I also have in there, ratatouille, which is an eggplant dish. So those type of things would be in the Mediterranean section. And then pescatarian, I think this was what Nancy was interested in. Just, how do you cook fish and make it taste good? And I've really found that I limit my fish a little bit more, like as far as the types of varieties that I use, just because I found some that I'll cook in my house and they're way too fishy and they smell too much. So I tend to use like a whitefish. So like a swai or a tilapia, something like that. I like cod, it's healthier, but it tends to really smell up your house. At least mine, it does. I haven't found some good ways to cook that. I guess if you breaded it, maybe that would help cut that smell a little bit. We enjoy shrimp. This is one of my, or probably my all-time favorite salmon recipe is right here. It's the balsamic glazed salmon. And I think I made a video on this during the pandemic, so it's probably out there somewhere. I can probably attach it to the group. Balsamic salmon, or maybe I already did. I can't remember. But again, it's super easy to make. They didn't put the ingredient. Here, I'll jump into all recipes. And All Recipes is another one of my favorite sites. Just because you can find everything out there. I can find recipes my grandmother made out here. So this called for 6 salmon fillets, and then it's got garlic, white wine, honey, vinegar, Dijon mustard, salt and pepper, and oregano. And it really, really makes a really moist salmon with really great flavor. So if you're not a salmon fan, I would recommend maybe you try something like this. It's pretty mild. Or let me back up here. See if I can get out of here. Oops. I think I went too far. Here, let me go back this way. Okay. So let me show the other one would be like this maple salmon. It's a very flavorful but easy way to ease yourself into trying salmon. And salmon to me isn't nearly like that fishy. It's more of a chicken, a little softer than chicken, but a chicken consistency and texture. But this one is really good as well. So again, garlic, maple syrup, soy sauce. I'm trying to put in that section on the sauces, I'm going to try to put out some recipes for soy sauce, because even the low sodium soy sauces are really high in sodium. And liquid aminos, the coconut aminos, that can be a better choice for the soy sauce, for using as a flavor for soy sauce. And I'm just starting to explore using Worcestershire sauce as a replacement for soy sauce as well, because it's much lower in sodium. You can get it sodium reduced, and it's only about maybe 65 milligrams versus just tons of sodium in the other, like probably 600 to 700 milligrams in some of the soy sauces in just a small serving. So, but anyhow, so this is just a really simple recipe, very flavorful, and it's got that little bit of sweetness to it that most people like and will be more compliant to trying again. So it's always great to find a way that you like a certain food, and then once you like it in a certain way, then starting to kind of explore from there. And that's the philosophy I use with raising my son, is trying to get him, trying to find the easiest and the most likable and palatable food, way to prepare that food and then move on from there. So let me go back here.
And Sandy,
Yes.
on those like salmon, do you usually just do it on top of your stove, or do you usually, do you bake it or?
Well, you can do it either way. I usually bake it. And one of my really nice features I have at my house is a convection microwave oven. So it actually bakes food in it. And it only takes like 12 minutes to make two pieces of salmon, or even less than that if you like it a little bit lighter. But it's, yeah. So, but baking is a great way to do it. And you're probably still only maybe around 20 minutes or so to bake it in the oven. I like it that way. But of course, if you like the flavor of frying it, you can do that. I've gone to classes where they cook fish and they make a tent over top of it with aluminum foil. So it helps more evenly cook the fish, so you don't have to, manipulate it so much. So that's another way that people do it when they're doing it on the stove, on the top of the stove. So, yeah. Another one I just tried recently in here is this tuna with white beans. And I think I got this off the Mediterranean website. But I didn't know if my husband would like this or not, but I went ahead and made it anyway, and it came out really, really good. Let me take this. Well, actually, I'll go there in a minute, but just a really, really flavorful. And I think I used like a cannellini bean in this one. You could use the Great Northern bean or navy bean if you had that on hand in a can. But it was really easy to put together with a can of tuna and celery, just very tasty. So let me go back. Is there, if you guys are looking at these, is there any other groups you want me to go into? This picture here is falafel, and I did do a series on that. That's in the group site on vegetarian dinner party. And that was my main dish that I made for that. So I air fried it. If you go to get it at a restaurant, generally it would be fried in oil, deep fried. So using the air fryer, if you have that, was a great way to make this. Or you can always cook it or bake it in just a little bit of oil. I tend to just use the olive oil spray and spray the tops and the bottoms of them and then stick them in my air fryer. But that's a really great recipe. You guys have any other ones you want me to go into here? If not, what I think I'll do is, let's see if I could get to this other site. Well, I know I can get there this way. Not here. Oh, here. All right, can you guys still see? I'm on the Old Way site. This is great, super. This is one that I have the link in the group pages, and so you should be able to find this one as well. This is one of my favorite sites as well. I have a lot of favorite sites, but this one has and explores and does studies and brings all that information to this site on different traditional type diets. So if you were interested in, say, going Mediterranean, there's just tons of information out here on the Mediterranean diet. And it will even go into all the studies, like on how it's good for heart health and arthritis and all those different things. So, and of course, they do have the vegetarian and vegan diets here. But what I'd like to show you today is if you pop over to the recipes, it will bring up a search on the side here. And so basically I could say, I want a vegetarian and vegan diet meal. I want it to be a main dish for dinner. And I want it completely vegan. And I'm going to search. So that's a really quick way. you know, to find something, or you can search by an ingredient as well. But then this will actually give you vegan meals that I pulled up here with, and you know, however many they have here. So I find this site very helpful. I'm going to take off vegan here and just see how many more we get. We'll probably get pages more here. So again, just tons of good recipes, and if you're able to see the pictures here, it's really nice. I was going to see if that tuna one popped in here.
I don't know with that site, but what are the other sites that you said? I don't.
Oh, what were the other sites? There's a Forks Over Knives site that's really good. And what was my other one? Forks Over Knives. Oh, the Old Ways. And gosh, it'll come to me, but I've lost it right now, which the other site was. Again, All Recipes is a good site, but it's going to have everything out there. So you really have to kind of search down to find what you're looking for. But if you're looking at these, yeah, I don't see the tuna one. Let me just search it over here. Here it is. The tuna, it's tuna with white beans, celery, and peppers. So again, like if you're just looking for a really quick meal to make when you get home and you're tired, it says olive oil, it's got the red onion, celery, pepper, a can of cannellini beans, and this was odd to me. It only called for 2 ounces of tuna, but I used a much larger can. I think I used like it was probably 5 ounces or more. Then some basil, spinach leaves, and salt and pepper to taste. So this was just a really excellent. Again, this would be pescatarian. So if you're willing to eat fish. So that's those sites. And Nancy, I'll try to remember that other one. It's in the link, and it's on the group page as well. And it should come to my head, but it's just not popping in. But do you guys,
Okay.
do you guys have any questions? You're getting into the materials okay for the class? It's really important that you find the little calendar icon, so you can click through and do, you know, as many of the activities as you want to do and follow the recipes. They're all out there on the calendar. This week we are just kind of focusing on vegan and vegetarian diets. And next week will be pescatarian, pollotarian, flexitarian. We'll concentrate on theirs. And then the 4th week we'll be concentrating more on the plant protein sources and how to combine plant protein sources if you are needing to get all those essential amino acids into your diet, which we are. And then the final class will be those nutrients of concern. So paying attention to making sure that you're getting all the proper nutrients that you need to keep your nutrient levels where they need to be for good health. So are there any other questions?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and sign out then. I thank you guys for joining, and I will go ahead and put the recording out there on the group page, so you'll be able to see it out there. So take care, and then our next Zoom will be 2 weeks from today. I'm going to be traveling a little bit, but I will have access to the program, the virtual gym, so I'll be able to answer any questions if you post anything in there. So I appreciate you joining today. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Sandy, bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.